Hi friends, I'm back with chapter 3 of Socks. And if you remember from yesterday's chapter, the Brickers didn't get a new pet. In fact, it was a brand new baby that they brought home. And Socks was feeling a little jealous and not quite sure how he felt about the baby being in the house. So we'll have to see what Socks continues to do because he seems to really miss all the attention that he used to get. So chapter 3 is called Socks and the Formula. The arrival of Charles William upset the order of Socks's life. The meals were no longer served on time. Laps were always occupied. Lights were turned on in the night. The washing machine swished and the dryer hummed at odd hours. The house was filled with lint from new diapers, which tickled his nose. The Brickers' friends, who once had admired Socks, now came to admire the baby. Tiffy, the little girl next door who loved babies and who also liked to pick up cats, usually around the middle, came to watch Charles William's bath almost every morning. Socks spent a lot of time sneezing among the fluff of dust under the bed in the front bedroom, where Tiffy could not get to him. The one comfort in Socks's life was leftover formula, sometimes a few drops and sometimes an ounce or two, which was poured into his bowl after the baby was fed. Socks began to wait for the sounds of Charles William smacking at his bottle. That baby! His cries grew louder and his smacks greedier. His neck became strong enough to support his head. His eyes stopped crossing. He made the exciting discovery that his hands belonged to him, and he waved them happily. He kicked his feet and said, "Ugh, ugh, ugh." "He's a big boy. Yes, he is," cried Mrs. Bricker in the voice that she used to use and used to belong to Socks. Socks, on the other hand, grew lazy. Instead of chasing his ping-pong ball across the living room, down the hall, and into the bedroom where Mr. Bricker would have to reach for it, he now patted it with a curved paw and let it roll off by itself. When the mailman brought Charles William a present, Socks examined the wrapping paper, but he no longer bothered to hide under it or to play with the ribbon. One Sunday afternoon, Socks, comfortably full of warm formula, was dozing in a patch of sunshine on the living room carpet when another set of visitors arrived to see the baby. They were Charles William's Uncle Walter, Aunt Cassie, and 8-year-old cousin Mike, who was carrying a package wrapped in paper printed with blue rabbits. Socks remembered these people. Aunt Cassie's lap was narrow and hard. Uncle Walter, enjoying rumpling of cat's fur so that a cat had to lick and lick and lick to get himself back in order. Mike teased. This afternoon, however, Socks felt too comfortable and too drowsy to flee. The first thing Uncle Walter did upon entering the house was to take off his hat, which he wore to cover his bald head, and shy it across the room so that it landed on Socks. "Hiya, Socks, old boy," said Uncle Walter. Then he added to Mr. Bricker, his brother-in-law, "I see you're still keeping that cat." Socks glared from under the brim of the hat, but he did not budge. Mrs. Bricker proudly carried Charles William into the living room to show him to her brother's family. She had dressed him in one of the many little knit suits that the mailman had brought, and his rosy feet were sticking out bare. And there's a picture of Socks under Uncle Walter's hat. Charles William took one look at Uncle Walter and screamed. Socks came out from under the hat with a start and retreated under a chair. He recognized fear when he heard it and accepted the scream as a warning of danger. If Charles William was in danger, so was he. Maybe Charles William was of some use after all. Mrs. Bricker also recognized the cry of fear. She sat down on the couch and held Charles William close. "Did something frighten the baby?" she asked tenderly. "It's all right. Nothing's going to hurt the baby." Charles William hid his face in his mother's neck and sobbed. Maybe a pin is sticking in him, suggested Uncle Walter. Charles William, braver when his mother held him close, stole a look at the visitor, shrieked again, and shivering with sobs, hid his face. Socks peered from under the chair. Everyone was seated, and although the Brickers were concerned, no one appeared frightened. "Oh, it's just Walter's bald head," said Aunt Cassie, matter-of-factly. "All babies are frightened the first time they see a bald head." "What am I supposed to do?" asked Uncle Walter. "Take off my head and carry it under my arm?" Aunt Cassie, not a woman for baby talk, took hold of Charles William's hand. "Charles William, you are a fine, healthy boy," she said, and turned to her son. "Mike, say hello to your new cousin." "Hi, Chucky," said Mike, who plainly thought babies were boring. Visiting relatives was boring too, and a waste of a good afternoon. He set the package on the couch as if he were glad to get rid of it, and flopped back into the chair. Charles William took his face out of his mother's neck, looked at Uncle Walter, and howled again. "For goodness sake, Walter, put on your hat," said Aunt Cassie. "Nobody cares if you wear it in the house, and you can't expect a baby to understand the whole world all at once." Uncle Walter picked up the hat from the carpet and did as he was told. Charles William's sobs ceased. With the danger, whatever it was, out of the way, Socks turned a weary eye on Mike, who was slumped in a chair, staring at the ceiling. The boy looked harmless enough, but Socks did not trust him for a minute. As he watched, his ears picked up the faint, threatening wail of another cat, the sort of wail that leads to fighting with fangs and claws. The wail grew louder. Where could that cat be? Socks looked anxiously around the room, half expecting to see the old black cat that sometimes prowls across the backyard. The sound was all the more frightening because Socks could not find the creature who was making it. "Mike, stop that noise," said Aunt Cassie. "You're frightening Charles William, and stop slouching." The cat wail stopped, but Socks continued to keep an eye out for the enemy. He also watched Mike, who remained slumped in the chair, bored with opening the gift. Bored with all the exclamations over the brown corduroy bear that his mother had brought as a gift. The small toy bear caught Socks's attention, and he did not find it at all boring. The bear was going to make a good partner, and Socks could not wait to get at it. Sounds like Socks might be getting an idea that might lead him into some trouble. So friends, I hope you're enjoying chapter 3 so far. I hope you're all doing well. I miss you guys, and I can't wait until we get to do read-alouds again together in our classroom. But until then, keep doing your awesome drawings, keep sending them my way, and I look forward to seeing them all. All right, take care, everyone.